We are live again. Quickly get the Facebook up. Okay.
What's up, everybody? This topic is gonna be God hears all. Excuse me. Let's let Isaiah and Dad do their sharing, and yeah, and then we'll jump right into it. Dad had his verse already and everything, so we'll get this party going.
No music for this week because we got copyright blocked.
Yeah, we got copyrighted, so.
When we even said in there how it's not our.
And I mean, I was saying last week how I thought we would be fine as long as we, say what the artist was, giving the artist credit for it, but apparently not. But that's okay, I guess.
What you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get that file earlier.
Don't you hit me in the head.
I just spotted it. Oh. I don't know if I actually got it. I don't see it.
Say hello if you're in here watching so we can say hi to you.
Yeah, say hello, make comments. We welcome all feedback.
Like and share for all your friends out there.
So, I'm ready. You guys ready?
Alright.
Okay. Welcome to another episode of Do You Really Know God? This episode is God Hears All. Pretty big area to kind of choose from. I'm going to start off with Jeremiah 29, 12 through 13. Then you will call on me, and you will come, and you will pray to me. And I will listen to you. You will seek me, and find me when you seek me with all your heart.
That's
That's
one.
good. That's really good.
One of the things with God Hears All, the reason why I'm picking this topic is it kind of goes in with trusting God and having faith in God.
Which we've talked about in many podcasts.
There's one thing about God is, like, people sit there and they say they pray to him, but they don't think he's hearing them. He's hearing you. You gotta think of the story of David. David always prayed to God, even though it was forbidden in the kingdom he is in. And it got to the point where they actually threw him in a lion's den for the night. And the lions never touched him all night long.
No, you're thinking of Daniel.
Daniel, not David. Daniel.
Yes, Daniel.
That's right. Started with D, David, Daniel, they're all the same.
As soon as you said the den and the lions,
Yeah.
I was like, no, that was
Yeah.
Daniel.
But he sat in a lion's den all night long, the lions never touched him. And it actually made the king turn around and said, I want to know your God. He prayed to God to protect him, and God did. It's not like God was sitting there telling him, oh, rebel, I'll protect you. He just kept praying for God's protection throughout this whole time of tyranny. And God did. When it came time to do it, God did his part. And he did it. That proves he's listening. He's listening to you and your thoughts, your prayers, your hopes, your dreams, your things that you want. But on a vice versa, he's also hearing the stuff that you don't want him to hear.
Yeah. The thing with God is, it's and this is going to sound bad, but it's the biggest invasion of privacy you've ever had. Because you never consented to it, but he's always watching. He's always listening. He sees every little move you make. He hears every little sound you make. He, knows every little thought that went through your head. He knows you better than you know you.
Exactly.
And that's the thing with God, and this topic. Excuse me. This topic is God hears all, which is basically saying, on the same topic as integrity.
Yes.
And I remember in our middle school, by the main office, you walk through the front doors, and by the main you have the main office on this side, and you keep walking down that hallway, and there was the room that I believe was like the special education room, and right next to the door was a poster that was about integrity. And if I remember correctly, I never understood the picture because it was like a man on a mountain. And I would have figured that'd be like something for accomplishment.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Success.
Yeah, but it was integrity. And it said, it said integrity, and the little definition on the bottom it said doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. And there's never a point in your life where nobody's looking.
Yeah, and you gotta understand, like I hear people sitting there and saying, I've been praying to God, but He ain't helping me. But yet you look at them, what they're doing outside the public eyes is they're sinning. They're constantly sinning. One thing about God is He is there to help you, but you gotta actually help yourself to follow Him. And if you're constantly living in sin or bad sin, He's not gonna answer your prayers because you're actually following the road of the devil. And it's almost like to say in public, I'm for this guy, I'm with this guy, and you want that guy to help you all the time, but secretly you're really running with this guy when nobody's looking. You can't expect him to help you in your ways of need when you're constantly running with the devil. If you're gonna run with the devil, you need to go for the devil's help because God is not gonna help you.
Yeah.
He's hearing what you're talking about, and He's hoping and praying that you're gonna change your ways, but it's up to you to repent, to change your ways and change your habits and follow His line. If you follow His line, He will answer your prayers. He is talking to you. You may not hear Him talking to you, but He is talking to you. And everything you are talking about, praying and doing, He is seeing, hearing, and answering. It's just, what are you doing to deserve that answer? I mean, a lot of us are praying for stuff that we don't deserve. And you got to think about it. When you make a prayer to God and you want something, and you need something, did you do something to deserve that?
Yeah. He's
not just going to give a handout. Everybody wants that free handout, but what did you do to deserve that handout from God?
Yeah. It's I think that comes from doing good deeds, doing the work of the Lord, what
Spreading the word.
And what He has in store for your life. It's following your calling, whether, and I think God's plan for all of us is to be able to help one another. I don't think there's not one calling in this life that we all have that doesn't involve helping each other.
Everything's about helping each other. That's why you love thy neighbor, you love thy enemy. So
it's basically from, we do good things, we do good deeds, and we give without expecting anything in return. We do all these things, and God will bless you.
Yep. But remember, He hears all. And that's why I like this topic.
Yeah.
Is when we say He hears all, He hears your prayers, He hears your thoughts, He knows your thoughts, He knows you. Yep. But He also hears your sins, He hears your evil side, He hears your downsides. Yep. So when you're asking God for help, or you're praying to God, or you're even like when you sit there and you say you love God to people, do you really? Do you really? You gotta understand, you can tell 100 people that you love God and you follow God, but God really knows if you follow God.
Yeah.
It's what your heart is saying. He is listening to your heart. He's listening to your soul. He knows the true you, and he knows what you're truly about.
He knows your true intentions.
Yes. And when that comes very good with integrity.
Yeah.
Integrity is doing what's right when nobody's looking.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like
God is always looking.
Yeah.
It's like what we always, bring up with integrity, which is like, let's say, for example, helping homeless people, giving them money, right? We've talked about it multiple times, how you don't, give somebody something and then blast it all over Facebook like, oh, look what I did today, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
That's the opposite of integrity.
Right, you gotta do it with the purest of intention and just be like, you see someone down on their luck, know you got an extra $10 in your pocket or something, and just be like, hey, go get some food, or, what I mean? Something like that. But there's even cases of what seems pure, but is really malicious.
Yes.
Which is like, for example, let's say you're walking down the street in New York City and you got an extra $10 in your pocket, but there's, say a cute girl across the street looking at you. And so you hand the money to the person, and you're not blasting it around to anybody.
But you're using it to gain something else.
Exactly, you're
using it for personal gain.
So you hand it to that person, and you know that this lady is always there buying the same magazine at the same stand every day, and you two look at each other every time, and then that's just gonna get you closer because now you look more generous. And so at that point you're doing it nonchalantly. Yeah. It's just be like, hey, nobody really saw this that I know of.
But she did. Yep. And I'm going to do a quote of Pastor Dan Stanley.
Okay.
This is one thing that roped me into going following him at his church and doing this. Is one of the first times I went to the Rockfish Church, and he's up there speaking. And this hit me right on because I've never heard a pastor say this, and I'm sure there are a lot of them that do.
Yeah.
But first time I personally witnessed it is he came out there and he doing his thing, and he looked at everybody to the crowd, and he goes, I'm going to tell you right out. Just because you're here in this church today does not mean you're going to heaven. And just because somebody is not here today doesn't mean they're going to hell. Mm. Being Christian and a follower of God is not a Sunday thing. It's a 7-day a week, 24 hours thing. It's not what you do today, it's what you do all week. So like he says right out is, if you just go to church on Sundays and you're all holy on Sunday, but yet you go out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you're doing all kinds of dirty stuff, you voided everything you did on Sunday. You got to do your Sunday. Sunday is not the only day of prayer. Every single day is a day of following God. Yeah. Every single day is a day of prayer. You need to do it day in and day out. You can't pick and choose when you're gonna, because then you're not actually loving God.
Here's the way I look at it, or the way I think a lot of people look at it, but I don't think it's the case at all. A lot of people look at faith as almost like weight. You know what I mean? The better in faith you are, the more weight you're losing. And I say that for the simple fact of, someone who's on a diet or is trying to monitor their weight or something, they'll eat a cupcake, but then they'll be like, oh, but I'm going to run 10 laps later. And it's going to cancel each other out. And right. And people go to, they look at going to church on Sunday as canceling everything that happened last weekend. Yeah. They look at it as a,
redemption.
Right. I may have cussed all week and I may have done this and this and this, but I went to church and I worshiped and I prayed and everything's good again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that case, I hope you die on a Sunday. Just for your sake. But that's not how it is at all. The way I like to look at it is, you're on a road from the day you're born.
Mm-hmm.
You're on this road, and so let's say, like this is the start. We'll say it's a cul-de-sac, right? Right here, you were born. And you start going down the road, and down the road, you get your first choice, your first decision, right? That you have to make as a human being. And the road is forked in two. And that decision will take you down the left road or the right road. And in that decision, let's say your first decision comes when you're 3 years old, and your first decision is, Mom says I can't get this candy bar, but I really want it. Do I put it in my pocket? You know what I mean? Which is stealing. So if you put it in your pocket, you go down the left road, you're getting closer to Satan's agenda.
Yep.
If you don't, you leave it alone and whatever, you go down the right path, which is God's path. And I think so you get started.
Every decision is an element.
Exactly.
That we make.
And so every time you have a decision, you have a fork in the road. You can either keep going down the path you're on now, or you can take another path that will slowly, gradually if you keep following that route, get you to the other side. Now that could work in your benefit or your disadvantage. Because if you followed God for the good majority of the time, and you've been on that road, but all of a sudden you start to make a decision that, puts you on that one path towards hell, okay, maybe you can make one decision, but get right back on the, what I mean? But if you keep, the thing with sin is literally an addiction.
Yep.
You do it once, it gives you this guilty pleasure, and you just do it again and again. And so once you get off that heavenly road, and you get that one, and then you're like, you look at it, and you're like, I'm not that far, I'm only about 3 feet away from that road.
Yep.
I can take a little bit more. So now you're 6 feet, 9, 12, and you keep getting further and further, and before you even realize it,
you're 100 miles off.
Yeah, you're 100 miles off. Or it could work in your benefit. Maybe you've gone down the bad road your whole life, and then all of a sudden you finally hit that rock bottom to where like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, where you just want to switch your life around and you have that coming to God moment. And all of a sudden now every decision you're making is getting you closer and closer and closer and closer.
To the right road.
Exactly.
And you gotta understand, just because you do bad does not make you condemned to hell. Because Jesus did die on the cross and took our sins. But it's all on that pivotal point of changing your path, like Devin's saying. Obviously, before you die, at some point, you have to change your path to the right path.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of it's all just that path. Like, perfect example, and this is my opinion, this is not anything of the Bible, this is my opinion, of my knowledge of the Bible and my knowledge of Jesus and my knowledge of God and my feeling of God. You can take the wrong path quite often, but you truly have love for God and you mean to do good, but you just wind up on the wrong side of the path. I feel that God is trying to lead you back, and so long as you eventually take his hand and go to the right direction, he will save you.
Yeah.
But you gotta take his hand and go to the right direction. He sees all. And one of the reasons, like I said, I picked this topic is it's such a broad topic because I just hear so many people saying, I don't know why God don't answer my prayers. I don't know why God answers my prayers. Yet every night they're out shooting up drugs or doing drugs.
Yeah.
Because you're on the wrong path. You're following the wrong path. Get off that path and he will start answering your prayers. Or I don't understand why God ain't answering my prayers and yet they're a thief. They're stealing from everybody that they see. Or they lie to everybody they talk to. They can't say a word without it being a lie. God hears all. He
Yeah.
hears the good. He hears what you want. He hears your wants, your needs. He knows it. He hears your heart. But he also hears your bad. He hears the devil talking to you. He hears you talking back to the devil. He hears all.
Yeah.
So what you want out of your life is what path are you going to take? What are you going to do to prove to God that you love God? Because you can't just go to Sunday. And actually this is an episode that I want to eventually do, is about judgment. You can't go every Sunday and put on this persona that you're all holy and Christian, and then the rest of the week chase the devil and just hide it. You can hide it from the church all you want.
Yeah.
That's fine. The church may never know that you're a hooker and you're doing drugs all week long, because they see you on Sunday all dressed up pretty, all holy. So the church may think that you're all holy all the time, but they don't. The church don't matter. In the end, the church is not the God, and he's not the judge. God is, and God knows the truth. So you can play your false persona all you want on Sunday. It's not getting you to heaven. God knows the truth. You can fool the church, you can fool your friends, you can fool your family. You can fool your kids and your spouses. It doesn't matter. Bottom line, you're not fooling God.
Yeah.
So when you want to do those prayers, he is listening. He hears all. He proves it over and over. There's the other story I can't remember. You told it with the 3 guys going in there
In the fire.
in the fire.
Yeah. Super hot fire.
Yeah. What was the situation?
Throwback. That was a throwback.
The general idea of it, without getting into the whole story, is King Nebuchadnezzar
That's it.
is ruling over whatever country he ruled over.
Wasn't it?
I think it might
I
have
think it
been
was Babylon.
Yes, Babylon.
Yes.
And there are these, and so
3 guys.
King Nebuchadnezzar built golden statues of himself and all this, and they were huge, and he made a law in the land saying that anybody who did not look at him as a god, and at this time of the day you're gonna hear every musical instrument play, and you gotta turn and look at the statue and bow down and pray to me and all this, and there's
Worship me.
yeah, worship me.
Basically.
And there's 3 guys, and they were Jewish, and they're all just standing around like, I'm sorry, but my God trumps all gods. My God is the King of Kings. So King Nebuchadnezzar said, okay, well, anyone who doesn't obey this will get thrown into a pit of really, really hot fire.
Well, I'm not sure if that was the actual
I'm paraphrasing.
I just want to make it clear. I'm not sure if
Yes.
the Bible clarifies if that's exactly what he had planned for anybody that didn't bow down. But
Well, he said they would be baked in an oven. He did say that. And so these men refused to do it, and some people reported them to the guards, to his royal army or whatever it is. And the royal army went up to King Nebuchadnezzar and was like, hey, these 3 kids are not worshiping you. They're not following the rules. What should we do? And he said, bring them before me, and we will use them as an example. So he brought them before them, and they're like, and King Nebuchadnezzar said, why do you not worship me? And they said, we have a God that is better. And he said, there is no God better than me.
Yep.
Who is your God? And they were Jewish, and so they said, God,
Allah.
no, that's Muslim. What do they call him? What do they call God? Aside from God.
There's many names.
Yahweh.
Yeah. Anyway, they said God is our God. He's creator of earth, all this. And so King Nebuchadnezzar said, okay, I'll give you one more chance. Either you bow down to me now, or you're going in that oven that is super hot. And so they're like, sorry, we'll go in the oven. So they walk in the oven, and it's 3 guys. And all of a sudden, through what I'm assuming was a window or something like that, they could see 4 people in the oven. And one of the guards standing outside of it looked at the other one and said, "Do you hear them talking in there?" And it was like, "Yeah." And so they went over to King Nebuchadnezzar and they said, "Hey, there's an extra guy in there. We put 3 in, there's 4, and they're all just sitting there chilling and talking. Like, no screaming, no, nothing like that, they're just talking." So King Nebuchadnezzar's like, "No way." So he kills the fire, and he has the guards go in and pull him out, and God is standing right there with them. And not a single hair on their head was burned.
Yeah. That's just all about having faith. And that's where we talk about God answers your prayers,
And
but
King-
you've got to follow.
King Nebuchadnezzar, after that, submitted to God, and he, as well, was, he made it mandatory to be Jewish.
Yeah. Also, you got to look at the story of David. David was blessed by God at a young age. Once he became king, he actually veered off from God, committed adultery, committed murder, ran for his life. Then he repented and he came back to God. He praised God. He asked for forgiveness, and God put him back in power. So if in the Bible, if you read the Bible, there's a lot of stories where it shows where people have fallen away from God and done bad things. But they repented and they changed their ways and they fell back in love with God and they followed God. And God gave them back everything they lost. Yeah. And it's a known fact that is if you truly follow God and you love God, you're going to lose things in your life. It's a known fact. But whatever you lose, God's going to give you back better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is known to do that.
And just to remind you, and my grandmother would constantly talk about that same story. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I sometimes forget those names because it's like they're kind of weird names for me to remember. You know, like it's
back in the times and back in the middle.
Oh yeah, it was just very just nonchalant. Like, oh yeah, that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Oh. But anyway, and so I kind of had there's a quote. You had reminded me. You said something about it doesn't matter what we do once a week. It's about what we do all week, what we do every month, every year of our life, what we do in our life. And this quote is from the movie Gladiator. Brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Chris had basically said is, you know, everything that we do echoes not just when we die, but it's echoing up toward heaven. It's kind of like sound waves where like everything that we say, everything that we do, God knows about it because there's like echoes. There are these like waves that go up to heaven and they're like, oh, I see you. But,
well, I mean, I think the most real life example you could give of that is they say legends never die. That is a common saying, and it's usually used for like athletes or singers or whatever.
Yeah, famous people.
Right. And the song is true, or the song. I'm sorry. The saying is true, and there's multiple songs about it. And what Isaiah is saying as far as will echo in eternity, what we do in this life will echo in eternity. He was talking from a spiritual aspect.
Yeah.
What you do now, God will forever see and hear
Reward.
and reward. But just like an example, I guess I want to give to kind of make it seem more a little personal and real, is like Dad's more of a country music fan than I am, so he may beg to differ with me. But I feel that Kenny Rogers is a country music legend.
He is.
You think so?
Yeah, why would I think that?
I don't know. I'm just curious. Anyway,
Kenny Rogers is king.
he has passed. But I can honestly say, since his passing, which it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
I've listened to his song "The Gambler" over 5 times. And before that, I never really listened to it. And it's not necessarily,
I mean, you can talk about a lot of things like Elvis Presley.
yeah,
Guy's been dead since 1977.
yeah, you still
He's
hear
still
his
one
music.
of the top artists out there.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, in that sense, is transfer that over to God and it's literally the same thing.
Yeah,
Because
I think what you're saying is like in our lives, in our way, these legends who are the stars or whatever, they live forever, and we always see them. And the next generation, you're gonna see it. But like us not being a rock star or whatever, our legacy lives on with God.
right,
And it's what God puts us to
Yeah.
if we actually follow His ways.
yeah,
I see it like, I'll give you a surfing analogy. If you're out on the water and you're looking for that wave and you're sitting there, you can be impatient and take that small wave and just have a little fun and fall over. That to me is like being a drug addict. You need that quick hit. You need to go. You're following the devil because the devil's like, hey, take this one. This one will get you the shore quicker.
Yeah.
But the God follower is going to sit there and wait for that perfect wave, and all of a sudden here comes that 30-footer. And it's coming, and then you get on that, and then you get this glorious ride all the way to shore.
Wow.
It's following the wave of God. You got to look at that wave, and you got to take His wave, because He's showing you the way. He's giving you the way. We all have a different path. You can't say that me, Devin, and Isaiah are all walking the same path. We're not. God has a separate path for each one of us. We all have our own little personal mission that God has for us.
yeah,
You gotta follow it and you gotta call it. But the thing is, you gotta do it 24/7. You can't go to church on Sunday and say, okay, I'm going to heaven. I'm good now.
yeah,
When Monday you're out there partying up, doing drugs and stealing cars. It just don't work like that.
yeah,
You gotta be holy every single day. You gotta do God's work every single day. We don't just pray on Sunday. We don't just help people on Sunday. You do it every day.
Yeah. Gosh, it was just there,
I
and
think he
it
thought
just-
of a new song called
I think I lost it.
you need to find it.
I mean,
God makes a
but
song
yeah.
called
I
That's what I say.
I mean, I agree though. I really agree. Gosh, I can't remember what.
But we can go back to the same picture that we always talk about. Our lives on this earth is so small compared to the eternal love and life that God is willing to provide us. And the riches that He promises us, like He promises in the Bible all the time, great riches. is not of earthly riches. It's of heavenly and eternal riches. It's not earthly riches. He's not going to give you a pot of gold. He's going to wait till your afterlife, your spirit, and you're going to have everlasting life. Forever and ever and ever. Does anybody know how long eternity is? I mean...
It's literally unimaginable. The human brain cannot process forever.
And you get that forever and ever. So our lives, our small, little, insignificant lives on this earth, is leading us to the grace of God.
Yeah. So, alright, I just remembered when I was, and so, kind of like what you were saying, Chris, right? We have to live our life in the way that God wants us to. He wants us to be holy. He wants us to be like Him, right? And a lot of times, we hear people preaching how, because of God, we're pure. Because of God's sacrifice with His Son, Jesus, we are made pure.
Yep.
But we're not in a total aspect because we still sin.
We're still dirty creatures.
So it comes down, I believe, to surrendering to Christ, to God, and really living your life to God's will.
Yeah.
It's not by your will or anybody else's will. It's by God's will that you live your life. And I think that is what gets you into that place of holiness and
exactly.
in God's love and mercy.
And God has a plan. And it's just a matter of you finding it. And I think you want to use songs or whatever, I'm going to give you a song reference. It's 3 wooden crosses.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't beat... I think that song gives you exactly what God is looking for. You had the 3 wooden crosses because the bus crashed, and we don't know why there's only 3, why there's not 4, because there's 4 people on a bus. Well, one was a farmer who left a lot of land, food, and knowledge to a family that's going to actually expand that farm to help others eat.
Yeah.
The second was a teacher who taught a lot of people a lot of knowledge, who's going to spread on that knowledge to other people, who's making it grow, the universe and the kingdom of God. Then you got the preacher, and you know what he does. He preaches the word of God, and he teaches people how to love God. And everybody wonders why they ain't 4, because the hooker didn't die. Why did the 3 good people die and not the hooker? And you find out at the end of the story, at the end of the song, the reason why is because the hooker did not meet her calling because she's sinning. So God let her live in that crash. But the preacher gave her a Bible that she read to her kid every day, who wound up becoming a preacher.
And telling the story.
And telling the story. And being a preacher to preach about God. Our lives may not be what you think it should be. It's not always glorious. Sometimes we're the pawn. Sometimes we're the mistake that's going to make something better.
Yeah.
You may not be the hero. Not everybody can be the hero of the story. We may not be the hero that's going to go out in Boston Gardens and preach to 40,000 people and get them all to say, yay, God, and all follow.
Yeah.
We may be that one that just so happened that everybody sees that your life is going downhill and what you've done, and they say, wow, I don't want to be like him because that's the devil. Let's go this way. You may be the person that, as much as it sucks, you're the one following the devil, that other people want to chase the devil because you sound so cool, but then they see you live and that you have nothing and you struggle. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. That's the way of the devil, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And you convince them to go the other way. We're all used in the pawn of God's way. We can't always think that we're going to be the hero, because we're not meant all to be the hero. not in everything is you're the hero. Saul had his points where he was defeated. And he looked like a fool when David beat Goliath as a little kid because Saul was too afraid to attack them.
Yes.
Even in history or in the Bible, there's been times when people of whatever, of power, of prophets or whatever of God, actually look like a fool. Like Noah, he looked like a fool. All the time people, he's like, what's this old man building a boat in the desert? He's a fool, and he spent years building this boat, being ridiculed by everyone. But he followed God's calling, and at the time of need, he is now the hero. Not everybody does that, but I mean, he looked like the zero for all his townspeople. For the longest time, I probably remember reading the story of it, he got banished from a lot of from the town a lot of times. He was banished. His kids actually was like, dude, you're a weird old man. And he made this boat for God because that was God's calling for him. His calling was not to be the hero in the beginning. He is being a widow, but in the end, he winds up being the hero.
Yeah.
We're not always here to be the hero. Sometimes you got to be the one that people are looking at and saying, whoa, wait a minute. That's following the devil. I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
And then they're going to follow God. So you don't have to exactly be the hero all the time. But just know that God has a plan for you. But you got to follow the plan and follow the game plan. It's like any other thing. You got to have a strategy. You don't go into life and say, I'm going to open a business. People are going to come. Okay, I'm just going to open the doors. Not going to have nothing to sell and nothing to do, but people are going to come and give me money. I promise you it ain't going to happen. You got to have a game plan. What are you selling? What are you offering? What are your prices? What's your market? How many people you want a day? How much money you got to make a day? You got to have that game plan. It's got to be planned, not just for today, but we got to plan for this month, this week, this month, next 3 months, next 6 months, next year, next 5 years. You got to plan ahead. God did the same thing, and we got to follow that plan. He had the plan. He had your whole life planned. He knows when you're going to die. You got to follow that plan, and it's up to you to follow the plan. If you listen to the devil and let the devil take you sideways, well, you just lost that plan and you kind of went the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know how in the Bible, in Genesis, they said the snake, the serpent, was more crafty, more subtle.
Yep.
And there's different there are different words of describing how the snake was in different versions of the Bible. There's different terms and things that they use, but more crafty, more subtle, and right, as the serpent went up to Eve and started talking to Eve. And I think God, like, the topic is God hears all. Want to know why he listens so much? Because the last time he wasn't listening, the world went the world just went sideways. Like, it was like,
the one time
what happened?
The one time he laughed, he's like, oh. Jesus,
Sorry.
get over here.
Sorry, I just thought of a little bit of a joke there.
But if you think about the serpent of Satan and the Garden of Eden, the first thing that comes to my mind is Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm.
When the snake gets Mowgli and it has him in a trance and it's like, listen, and Mowgli's like, oh, okay. Same thing. The devil is the same way. He has you, if you let him get his coils around you, he's going to entice you. He's going to make you think it is the best thing in the world to jump off that cliff or to shoot yourself in the head or to go beat up that old lady. He's going to make you think that is the best thing in the world because that's the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't follow him because one thing that God will do, won't do, God gives you your free will. And if you follow the path of Satan, God will not stop you. He will not stop you. He will try and show you the way and say, hey, come over here, guys. It's up to you to follow. But he's not going to chase you down the road or the path of the devil to bring you back. You have to bring yourself back because he gave us free will.
Right.
And that's the one thing that God did a mistake on, to give a man free will, because we're stupid. As you can tell, because we eat our tripods and everything else. So that just proves that we don't deserve free will. That's God's one and only mistake. So, with that being said, what's your comment section?
My comment section is gonna be pretty quick and simple as usual, but I want to know. I want to test your integrity by rating your integrity. I want you to have, even if this is the only time ever in your life, I want you to have the integrity to sit down and 100% honestly think about it and say, throughout my life, have I had a lot of integrity, and rate it 1 through 10? Like me personally,
that's a good idea.
Me personally, I've been thinking about it the last couple minutes because I knew it was going to be my comment section. I would honestly rate myself at about a 7. I feel like I've been, I try to use integrity in my everyday life. Like even up to now, and especially since I got out of basic training, and in basic training, because integrity is a big, big thing in the Army. And I try to think that I like to think I have a lot of integrity.
I'm gonna tell you right out. I'll give you I think I got a 2-part integrity. So I'm gonna say, like, in life in general, I'm about an 8. But as far as spiritual with God, I'm probably a 6. Cause I try to follow his path, but I do stray from time to time. And I admit it, I stray from time to time. There's these weaknesses that happen in my life that I've done wrong. I've had my times when I kind of did the old to God. I've had my times.
Yeah.
I think for myself, to add to yours, to do it yourself, you can do a 2-part. Like I would say in life in general, as a person, as a human being, I'm probably an 8, because I'm pretty honest on everything. Following God, I'm a little bit down, because I do have my moments of weakness.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. I can concur with that.
So if you want to add to that, if you want, look at
you
yourself as a double, as a person in general, because there's 2 parts. Because you know what, there's your humanly part, then there's your spiritual part.
Right.
Do a 2-part. See how you rate as a human being. See how you rate as a Christian or as a believer in God.
Yeah.
I'd like to say maybe as a person, I'd like to think maybe I'm about in the range that you are, maybe like a 7, 8. Spiritually, I'm maybe a 6, 6.5, maybe even lower a little bit.
Well, you're still young, so you're still hitting that.
I mean, because you're right. Like there are times that we stray from God, and it's not easy. It's not easy to stay on this straight path.
No, it's not. It never says anywhere in the Bible that it is easy to follow God.
As far as spiritually, like my integrity as a Christian, I can't say I'm more than a 5 at this point in my life.
So what's your comment, Justin?
So, I kind of just want to close out with a couple comments where Devin had said something about coming to God moment, and that there's a term for that. It's conviction, and I've sort of brought up conviction a little bit on past podcasts, and I think conviction is really, really important. Not just on Sundays, but every day in your life when or say like even the smallest thing of like a cuss word, you know, a curse word, you know, feeling that conviction like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Because I get those from time to time, even though I do curse from here and there. I think we all do. I mean,
not me, honestly.
And there's a quote that by Pastor Jordan Boyce. It actually is from a video that he did back in 2012. And he says, where church becomes a duty and not an experience, serving Christ an inconvenience and not a conviction. And I think that really ties into that a little bit, where like, you know, you're not, it feels like you're just doing it as like you feel like you have to do it, or like, you know, you're
not a belief.
Right, like you act like it's something that, you know, like, oh, well, I gotta go to church on Sunday, and then the rest of the week is like, you know, it's that one day a week duty that a lot of people do, and then it's like the rest of the week, you know, and that's not serving God. That's not serving Him. That's just being, I don't know, like the quote said, an inconvenience.
Yeah.
That's not being convenient for God for you to just be there, sitting there, maybe, you know, listening, opening your Bible, and then nothing else.
No,
you know,
gotta do it 24/7.
So, and then again, Devin said something: more faith, less weight on you, right?
Yeah.
And that's where Jesus on the cross, that's where He took everybody's sin and put it on His shoulders, on that cross, in that very cross. That's what those nails were. Those nails represented everybody's sin getting nailed to that wooden cross. So God asks for you to just nail every one of your burdens, every one of your problems, every one of your sins. Give it to me. And let your faith grow in me as you give me more and more. So as your faith grows, so should the weight on your shoulders feel lessened. So I just wanted to share that. So my comment section, that being said, is I want to know, do you feel like God does listen to you? Listen to you in prayer? Listen to you in every day? Do you feel like you get that conviction where like God is listening? Do you believe that God is listening to you on an everyday basis, not just on a Sunday basis where like, oh, I'm not gonna curse because it's Sunday, or I'm not gonna drink this beer because it's Sunday. You know, it's an everyday thing, or, you know, not just drinking a beer, but getting wasted or something. You know, you know. So, do you believe God is listening to you on a daily basis? Do you feel like you're getting that conviction?
That's good. Well, my comment section, because it's called God Hears All. My comment section is, I want you to look at your life. Really look at your life. And what you're putting out there, is it what you like God to hear? Is it something that you truly think God's proud of hearing from you? And I'm not talking about just your prayers. I'm talking about everything you do. Can you honestly say, in your heart, 100%, that when you're doing your stuff, does God hear in your heart say, I love you? Or is it just a Sunday thing? That's up to you. Think about your life. Let me know. I'd like to know how people really feel.
Yeah.
That being said, I want to say have a good night.
And don't forget to have faith over fear.
Faith over fear.